Greetings all. I am Vice Consul Mario from the American Citizen Services section at U.S. Embassy. Greetings all. I am Vice Consul Mario from the American Citizen Services section at U.S. Embassy Kingston. Today we want to share with you some safety tips on driving in Jamaica. There has been an increase in vehicular fatalities. A number of American citizen tourists come to Jamaica and they are not accustomed to the driving culture or the local road culture. Therefore, we want to make you aware of some things to be alert for when you come to Jamaica. I have with me a very special guest, Andre from Motorpool, who has been with the U.S. Embassy for 20 plus years, who has a wealth of experience with driving in Jamaica. Welcome, Andre.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, sir.
Absolutely. Andre, would you also introduce yourself?
So I'm Andre. I work with the Motorpool division here at the Embassy. And as you said, I've been here for 20 plus years and I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. Thanks, Andre. Andre, I'm going to dive right in. There is a local road culture in every country. Could you speak about the local road culture here in Jamaica and how to exercise safety as an American tourist, driver, or passenger?
Good. Mario, there are a few things that we need to take into consideration, especially when driving in Jamaica. The first thing first, that jump out at me is the fact that we drive on the left-hand side and not the right that you're accustomed to in the United States. Another thing what we observe persons doing when they get here is that they tend to use the same principle that happened in the States to make a right turn on a red light. We do not facilitate a left turn on a red light here in Jamaica. You would also observe, once you get to Jamaica, you will also observe that the driving on the roads here are very narrow. And because they're very narrow, we want to make sure that you apply a little patience and a little skill and a little driving techniques that will help you to move from point A to point B in a safe manner. Pay attention to the road speed limit, because of course on the freeway we have 110 km, like that is, and of course on the open roads, as you're accustomed to, it's only 80, and in the town it's 50 km. So we have to bear those things in mind. Pay attention to your driver. If you're here and you rent a vehicle, pay attention to the road. But if you are being a passenger, being chauffeured around, pay attention to the driver. Pay attention to spend some time and enjoy Jamaica and enjoy the scenery. But in doing so, have some little one-on-one engagement, a little chit-chat talk with the driver, and being observant while doing so.
Thank you, Andre, for those tips. Very helpful. Andre, what about as an American citizen looking for public transportation? How can they identify the difference between a registered versus an unregistered public mode of transportation?
You see, registered vehicle, what we say, are labeled in Jamaica. Vehicle that you need for what we call public transport, they're labeled there. If it's taxi, the taxis are labeled, and you will see the taxi. They're also labeled on the side where they have the rates and the company that they are assigned to, along with their information, which is critical, especially you're coming into a country that you don't know, and you want to be informed that when you jump into a taxi, you're safe, and you will be safe once you use the registered taxis.
Thank you, Andre. Andre, speaking from your perspective, if you were a tourist in Jamaica, how would you identify a rental company? And lastly to that, how would you map your route to your final destination within the 14 parishes?
You see, the good thing about the internet is that companies, rent-a-car companies are listed. They are listed in our local directory. They're listed on the internet. And of course, you might stop at a hotel or resort and you can get this information about local rental company, reputable rental company from the persons the representative who work at the hotels or the resorts. And GPS, it works in Jamaica. Google Map, it works in Jamaica. And because it works in Jamaica, then you can apply yourself and plan your routes accordingly when you're visiting Jamaica, all 14 parishes.
Thanks, Andre. Andre, this is our second to last question. Can you speak to the difference between driving in rural Jamaica versus urban Jamaica?
You see, Mario, it is, as with most countries in the world, driving in the city is normally sometimes time consuming, sometimes very hectic, but people just don't want to drive in the city. It's the same here in Jamaica. So if you're thinking, Jamaica is a wonderful paradise that you will come to, but you will also realize that we have traffic. We have high volume of traffic, especially in the city. But you will enjoy the scenery, you will enjoy the mountains, you will enjoy the lush grass and beautiful mountains when you make that rural trip. Yes, I do know that the winding roads that you will encounter sometime, but the view is breathtaking and you will enjoy it.
Thank you, Andre. And to wrap it up, how can a U.S. driver who is accustomed to driving on the left side of the road, or rather right side of the road in a left-hand driving car, acclimate to the right-hand driving vehicle on the left side of the road? How much time should be given to that acclimating process?
All right, I look at it this way, Mario. Look at it this way. It is important to note that the option, or one would say the scenario that you have just highlighted, it provides a benefit to the driver. In both situations, as you mentioned, in what happened in the States and what happened in Jamaica, it provides proper visibility for the driver. So once the driver is more informed about his driving environment, especially driving in Jamaica, he will make good decisions. And once you make good decisions, then I guarantee that you will arrive alive.
Andre, thank you so much for sharing these safety tips. Again, you can visit us at our USembassy.gov, jmusembassy.gov site to learn more about local conditions here in Jamaica. Again, this has been our special guest, Andre from Motorpool.
Thank you for having me.
And we really appreciate you guys tuning in. Take care.
Today, I'd like to go over one of the emergency bags we provide to our American staff that they can use in case of a hurricane or other natural disaster. These bags have many items in them that you can use to keep your family safe and healthy. First, I'd like to talk about shelter, which I consider the most important aspect of hurricane preparedness. In these bags, you'll find a tent. This can be used in case your house becomes unstable when you can no longer shelter inside your house. Second most important would be hydration, water. So the bags come with emergency drinking water, rationed out in these single-use packets. We've also augmented them with some local water. And lastly, we have meals. In the bag, we have two different options. We first have the famous meals ready to eat, you may know from the U.S. military. These contain about a 2,000 calorie meal. It's good enough to get one adult through one day. They're not very delicious, but they have everything you need from a main course, a dessert, heating elements, hydration packets, things like that. These bags also have in them the famous Coast Guard brick. Now this brick has all the nutrients that you need to get through a day. They're not very delicious, they look like a brick, they taste like a brick, but this is made for 1 bar every 6 hours per person. So this is divided up into handy bars. This probably gets you through 4 or 5 days just on this brick alone. You won't be very happy that you had to eat this, but you'll still be alive. The bag also contains many other items that you can use, such as hand sanitizer, soap, toothpaste, toothbrush, razor, comb, toilet paper, other sanitary needs. And one of the most important things is light sources. Now the bag came with this kind of flashlight. I don't like these flashlights. They're not very strong. If you drop them, they tend to break. And they take D batteries, which are very hard to locate in Jamaica. So I changed out and added in these smaller flashlights. These are very bright, very powerful, and they only take one AAA battery. We have some extra batteries too, readily available around Jamaica. This bag also has candles and some matches, as well as glow sticks. I've also, for our own personal ones at home, I've added in headlamps. Now these are much better, allow you hands-free, very bright. These ones are rechargeable too, so another good option. Lastly, you'll find in this bag things like heat blankets, heater packs, which you can use for heating food and other ways of keeping warm, ponchos, and then a multi-tool. This one has a Swiss Army knife. It's a little bit of a cheaper one, but it has a lot of different things you can use: scissors, saw, can opener, knife, screwdriver. I'd recommend, if you can afford it, spend a few dollars, get yourself a nicer multi-tool that's going to be a lot stronger, a lot more sturdy, has the same tools on it, but it comes in a much stronger, more useful package, I think. All of these items here fit into one handy carry bag that you can take with you if you need to leave your residence. Remember, the most important thing you can have in your go bag is being prepared. The most important thing you can do is identify shelter. Where can your family be protected from the storm? I highly recommend you find a space inside your house where there are no glass or windows that could be broken. In our case, we have an under the stairs closet that is concrete on all 6 sides. Most importantly, the top, in case the roof were to get blown off, as often happens in a hurricane. Inside here is where we would seek our shelter, where we keep our emergency supplies as well. After shelter, water is of course one of the most important things that you can have. You can see here we have a pretty good stockpile of water, and this isn't all that we have, but it's just one of the many ways that we're preparing. So these bottles are readily available in Jamaica. They're usually only a little bit more than 100 Jamaican dollars, and these are perfect. You get one of these per person, that should get you through 3 or 4 days for your family. Another thing you can do is pre-freeze water bottles. These are useful not only for keeping them safe and drinkable, but also they act as an additional way to keep things cooled in your refrigerator or your freezer if the power goes out. Thank you from the U.S. Embassy Kingston, Jamaica Regional Security Office. Remember, don't be scared, be prepared.